How can you have an EAP in parallel with a clinical trial? Well, let's consider this rare disease area. There'll be a limited number of sites in a limited number of countries. What happens if you have a patient who's aware of the trial but doesn't fit the geographical requirements, lives in a different country, or even just at the other end of a country? Your trial site might be in Texas. The patient might be in Maine, the other end of Europe. How do you cope with those? Quite often companies will set up an EAP under the EAP regulations in order to help those patients that don't qualify on geographical grounds, but would have qualified on the inclusion and exclusion criteria of the trial. That leads nicely to the other way that EAPs can coexist at the same time as clinical trials, where they're used to include patients that don't qualify in inclusion and exclusion criteria for the clinical trial. For instance, they may be too old, too young, have a different disease state. And it's a way that you can give a service to medicine to give them access to a therapy for their unmet clinical needs while still maintaining the integrity of your protocol for your clinical trial. It is obviously something that needs to be worked through very carefully with your clinical development and clinical operational functions within the pharma company. But increasingly with the increased power and advocacy of patient groups on a cross-country and indeed global basis, this question is being asked again and again from manufacturers. Certainly something to consider when you start to put together your clinical development plans and your commercialization plans.